Hey, Daydreamer. Welcome back to another episode of the Living Your Daydream podcast. Today, we are joined by none other than Morgan Elizabeth Photo, and she is going to deliver to you all of the juicy behind the scenes of her launch of her wedding photography workshop and how she sold it out in less than 24 hours. That's right, completely sold out in just one day of the launch. So this episode is for anyone who is struggling with launching a product or offer of their own in your own business. It's for you if you're interested in learning about the power of seeking coaching and the importance of community amongst creatives. So get out your notebook and get ready to jump into your own private mentor session with Morgan today. There's just so much value, and I just cannot wait for you to hear what Morgan brings to the show. So with that being said, let's jump in. Hey, I'm Asher James, and in this podcast, I'm going to guide you to all of the tips and mindset shifts that you need to get you out of your dead-end day job and into living your own daydream. I'm so excited that you're choosing to show up for yourself today and to learn and grow as an entrepreneur. Now, let's dive into the episode. So you haven't been on a podcast before.
I have not.
This is your first.
Yes.
Which is insane because of like how influential you are.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet.
On like your account and the coaching you do. Like there's so many photographers that I know that you've supported and helped over the years that it's just like really cool to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And for this to be like your first like actual episode, which is
honestly,
super exciting.
it's a little surreal. I feel like so much of what I do is hiding behind my screen and working one-on-one with photographers. And this is just a really cool opportunity to connect with you.
Yeah. So. Oh, no, I'm honored. I just want to know a little bit more about your story and how you got into photography in the first place. And then how you've built a business in education and supporting other photographers.
I love it.
And kind of giving back to the community in that way.
Yeah.
So bring me up to speed on how you are currently just living your daydream.
You got it. So I have had a camera attached to my hip for as long as I can remember. When I was in middle school, I would be the one photographing all my friends, all the memories. Going into high school, I was part of the yearbook. I would go to hockey games, football games. I was always standing on the sidelines, photographing anything I could, any moment I could. And then going to college, ironically, I took a photography class my freshman year. Got a C- in a photography class my freshman year. And I, before that class, thought this is exactly what I want to be doing. And that just like shot me down so quick.
Just the way it goes.
It was very humbling. Yeah. It was a very humbling experience. And so from that, I was like, okay, plan B. I also love music. So I actually ended up graduating with music and psychology, hoping to do more like music therapy. I love elders. I thought that was going to be a fantastic fit. It wasn't until like 2 months prior to graduation that I was like, this is just not the career for me.
Yeah.
So started working at Bethel University for a little bit as a recruiter. And in my spare time, I was photographing my friends. I had friends graduating from college, just some of my friends that like went to school with. I was photographing them for free and I loved it. Started throwing that up on my Instagram and just posting, sharing. I was starting to get some gigs, and within 6 months I went full time.
Yeah.
Bought a full frame camera. I was using a little Canon T2i at the time, and just
when was this?
2017.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
A little crop sensor, Canon T2i, loved it, saved up. And then within 6 months, went full time in 2018.
Yeah. Wow.
So absolutely loved it. And I don't remember the second part of your question that you asked.
No, that's okay because we have something in common that I didn't know.
Tell me.
We both worked as college recruiters.
Did you? Where did you work?
UMD.
No way.
Yeah. So I worked in admissions. That was like what I thought I was going to go into was higher ed.
Yeah.
So like I was looking at, like I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's like University of Denver or something like that.
Sure.
Like or Denver College. I don't know. There's like this really big higher education and student affairs master's program that I was like looking into, and then slowly kind of fell out of love with the bureaucracy of higher ed. Loved the people, loved working with the students, but I just like wasn't able to, I think, serve people to the best of my ability. And that wasn't giving me the fulfillment that I needed, But anyway, this isn't about me, but I just wanted to like share
Yeah.
that little
Thank you for
tidbit.
doing
Like
it.
that's
Yeah.
really cool that we have that
I love
shared
it.
in common.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And something that as I was entering my senior year of college before I became a recruiter, I remember calling my parents and I was like, I think I pursued the wrong degree. Had nothing to do with photography even at the time, but I was like, I think I want to be a teacher. And my mom had to be the one to kind of give me a little bit of a reality check of like, hey, hon, you're in your senior year of college. Like, I don't know if you can become a teacher now. And like, you could have, but I was ready to graduate. I was very ready to graduate. So as I started growing more as a photographer and really entering the photography scene, now starting in, it was 2020 that I offered my first one-on-one mentor session, and it was in person. And I fell in love with it. And I feel like it's so unique because I've always been creative. I love music. I love photography. I love the arts. But now to be able to step alongside photographers and serve them just like I wanted to, like when I graduated from college as a teacher, that's what I get to do now, but just in a photography capacity. And it's such an honor, and I am just so grateful. I love it. I love what I do.
It's so fulfilling.
It really is so fulfilling.
It's the best.
If I could talk to photographers every day and just help them scale their business, like I'm doing like what I feel like I should be doing in the world. Like I love it.
And that ties into this workshop that you've been planning.
It does, yes.
It's called the North Shore Workshop or North Shore Retreat?
North Shore Workshop. Yep.
Workshop. Got it.
It's a 4-day, 3-night experience.
Oh my gosh.
Staying up in Lutsen. We're shooting. We're going to be in Lutsen, Silver Bay, and Grand Marais.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's something unlike anything I've ever seen before. It's a very unique niche experience for the adventurous photographer, and I'm just on cloud 9 about it.
Yeah. Like workshops are nothing new to the photography industry, right?
Yeah.
But this one, when I kept hearing you talk about it, like A, the size, B, the locations, keeping it local, not going to like some big destination, like, so bring me just into your thought process of from idea generation of like, hey, I want to do a workshop, and let me know if this is your first one or if you've done a few others before. But yeah, bring me into this workshop's planning process, the idea, how you got, Steph and Ivan and Evie on board, like that's insane. When I saw Evie McLeod was like one of your
oh my gosh,
guests,
I love her so much.
Oh my god.
Shut up, fangirling a little bit.
Seriously. So bring me just into like, how did this happen from idea to then now it is sold out?
It's sold out within 24 hours.
Like what?
Yeah,
that's insane.
It's wild. So that's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
You might have to bring me keep me on track here because I'm gonna talk a lot. But it's just so loaded. I don't even know where to start. I did host a workshop in the past, 2021, I believe, in the fall. Loved it, but I co-hosted with another photographer, had a great experience, really enjoyed it, but always wanted to do something a little bit more, like I said, niche, something adventurous, wanted to branch out, wanted to do it by myself too. So it took a few years off, and I have my own business mentor, Steph Marie Photo. She's based out of Virginia. Love Steph. And I was doing a one-on-one mentor session with her. And I was telling her, I'm like, I just feel like I want to get back into it. Like I did it once, learned so much from that experience. But I said, I was like, I think I'm ready to do it again. And I just do it even 10 times better than before. So I was kind of dreaming that idea up with Steph. And she was like, let's do it. And she actually has a course that's going to be coming out later this fall. Yeah, super exciting. And that's still a little bit on the DL, which is awesome. But Steph said, she's like, well, what if we kind of go throughout this process together? She's like, I can help you with more of the marketing, the behind the scenes, and kind of I'm her guinea pig a little bit for this course that she's launching. So Steph and I just like took off from there. So it's my workshop, but Steph is helping me with the marketing side of it. And it's been such an incredible experience. And it's something that you just hit the nail on the head is I love the North Shore. I love being local. I also want to pour into our community and support local vendors, and just there's so much to see on the North Shore. And selfishly, I love hiking. I love being outside, and I love just adventuring. And so I was like, to be able to take 10 other females, like ladies with me that are also adventurous, that are also photographers, and we're just so like-minded in that, and to be able to let them experience this with me, like what a cool opportunity. So then as I started kind of dreaming this up about some of the locations that we're going to, we're doing the Bean and Bear hike, which is a 7-mile hike round trip. In like the pre-launch phase with Steph, I was like, I'm a little nervous. Like, I'm excited about this, but can I find 10 other photographers that want to do this hike with me? And just like this, people are so excited and so eager. And I was like, okay, I'm not alone. Like, there are so many other photographers that also love the North Shore, that also love to hike. And then when it comes to the educators, this is just so unique. So Steph was a no-brainer. Steph has been in this with me since day one. And I was like, you need to be there. You need to see this through. And she was so honored to be part of it too. So Steph is flying in from Virginia to be in person at our Airbnb, and she's speaking. Evie is another one that Evie has poured into me as a photographer from day one. I invested in her course early on in my photography business, and I'm a firm believer I would not be where I am today without her. So I just shot her an email and super casual, and I was like, and I've done one-on-one coaching with her too. So Evie and I know each other, and I just said, I was like, hey, I feel like this is a long shot, but I am hosting a workshop. And at that point, I don't even think we had our dates solidified yet. I didn't have an Airbnb. It was so early on in the process. It was just like a dream that I had. And I was like, Evie, I want you to be part of it. Like, what would it take for you to be part of this experience? And she got back to me so quick, and she's like, I would love to be part of it. So she's going to be virtual, but live. And I'm just so honored. And we haven't solidified the speaking topics yet for any of our speakers yet, just because I want to make sure that the girls that are coming, that it's serving them, not just serving me, right? Because I could go in with the mindset of, I think it'd be great for Evie to speak on X, Y, and Z, but if the girls aren't interested in that, like, that's a moot point.
And is that unique to this approach you're taking? Because workshops that I have seen or considered or even gone to, I haven't been a part of that decision process on what we talk about, It's just like, these are the people that are going to be there. And sometimes you don't even know what they're going to talk about, but you're just like, they're here. So yeah, I'm going to go. Yeah. But for you, you're taking such a personal, dialed in approach to really serving the ladies that are coming with you on this. Right.
Absolutely.
So like, is that like a new idea? Is that something that you've adapted from somewhere else? Like, bring me into that, because to me that sounds super cool and really unique.
Yeah, as much as I could take a one-on-one mentoring experience and form it into a workshop, I want to. So I am a huge part of my heart is just helping, loving, serving other photographers. I want to help any photographer avoid making some of the same mistakes I did when I was scaling and growing and learning, just to help them scale, learn, and grow faster. So if that means kind of I haven't even sent out the questionnaire yet to the girls, but I'm going to be sending out a form and a questionnaire just saying, like, hey, what are your top 3 topics that you want to learn from? Because each of the speakers that we have coming in, and we also have Ivan and then myself, so 4 speakers total, they're all powerhouses, and they have so much just to share. And Ivan, his personality is just infectious, and like, he is such, I don't know if I can say this, like a kick-ass photographer. He's awesome. And having someone that's also local Minnesota, I was like, I need you at our workshop. Yeah. Like, you're going to bring the energy. And I just feel like we are a dynamic duo. So I'm really excited just to be able to support the photographers wherever they need support, and to be able to encourage them and just love them throughout this process. It is such an honor.
Yeah. And just like the North Shore, and I think educators in Minnesota just have so much to offer. It's like really, really exciting. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to start this show, was to connect with other photographers, both locally, but also nationally, internationally. And I have a dream of doing a workshop here in the Duluth, North Shore area as well, because it just is such a diverse area.
It really is.
I was at, like, the film industry here is growing really rapidly as well. And I was at a Catalyst, like, pop-up educational event or informational event about, like, how, like, hey, there's all these different, like, movies coming to shoot in the area. And one of the biggest things that they said was, Duluth has it all, because it's got the, quote, ocean, which is Lake Superior, right? Yeah. It's got, beaches and things like that, like a coast. It's got the city, like a New York sort of situation, or, not New York, but, you could.
Small scale.
Exactly. And it's got, like, forest and rural. It's got neighborhoods. It's got more city neighborhoods. It's got, like, more suburb neighborhoods, all in such a close proximity to one another. And the geographic and metropolitan diversity of this area is just so inspiring and so easy to create such an incredible portfolio of work.
It really is.
It's like, just, I think I just want to bring more like people here,
Right,
and inspire
right.
the people that are here, right?
Yeah.
And like
Yep.
work with our inner community, but just really celebrate what we have here is like
Yeah,
super exciting.
absolutely. And so many of the photographers I talk to, they love the North Shore. And a
Yes.
huge goal for them is to gain more of that adventurous North Shore content. So when I started having these one-on-one conversations with photographers, they were like, how do you book more? Like, how can I book more elopements on the North Shore? How can I book weddings on the North Shore? I'm like, you need the portfolio. Like, you need to start marketing yourself as a North Shore photographer, Duluth photographer, doing blog posts with the adventurous North Shore work. And then the feedback I would get in return is, I don't have any. So then that's when I started kind of connecting the dots, and I'm like, okay, we need to do more of these in-person workshops so these photographers can learn from incredible educators in the industry, but also build their portfolio with the kind of work that they're wanting to shoot more of. So
That's huge. That's huge.
yeah,
I love that this workshop isn't just educational, but it's also hands-on as well,
very, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you structured the actual, day-to-day, hour-to-hour of what this workshop is going to be like, and how do you think that that is rooted in serving the attendees?
Yeah.
And how, like, for other people that are thinking of maybe establishing their own workshop in their own area, selfishly me in the future, but just like what kind of key takeaways have you noticed that your attendees are really connecting with, or that made selling this so easy? From your perspective?
Oh my gosh, that is such a fantastic question. Going back to like the timeline, the itinerary of the day, it is jam-packed. Every minute is filled. Now, I understand that's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I'm a very go, go, go type of person. I want to get the most bang for my buck, and I want the girls to feel that too. I put up a ton of questions on Instagram leading up to the launch of this workshop saying like, hey, if you attended previous workshops from just other photographers, it could have been me, other photographers in the past, what was some feedback that you had? And a lot of the time, the feedback was that they didn't feel like, not necessarily that the value wasn't there, but they didn't feel, just that phrase, like they weren't getting enough bang for their buck. So when I started creating this itinerary, I was like, we can fill this with a speaker, get another speaker, let's do another speaker. Let's fill this with a styled shoot, because I know what I would want if I was attending this workshop, and I want it to go even above and beyond that. I just want these girls to walk away feeling like, holy crap, that was incredible, and that they can't wait to attend another one, and I want them just to feel so inspired and motivated. But when it comes to the speakers, so Ivan is kicking us off in the morning on Tuesday morning. So they arrive on Monday. We're having dinner together. It's going to be more of like a get to know you. Tuesday, Ivan's kicking us off. Then we have Steph, and both of them are in person. And the energy that they are both just going to be bringing is insane. And like, what a way to kick off the workshop, right?
Seriously.
To be like, hey, you guys are freaking here. Like, you did it. How awesome. And then we have Evie, and then we're doing a campfire shoot at the Airbnb where we have a couple modeling for us, and we're doing like s'mores and drinking some beer and like just kind of super casual, cozy, and it's going to be super fun. But then the biggest and then in the afternoon, we're going to Grand Marais, which I'm so excited for. We are doing a proposal on a 40-foot sailboat. Yep, super cool. So we're going in shifts. And so we're taking that out like on the lake, super fun. We have a beach elopement happening that day too. So really like intimate. Gosh, I'm so excited. We also have like a table set up for that one. And then on Wednesday, that's the big hike day. So I'm speaking in the morning, and then outside of that, it's all focused on Bean and Bear. So we'll get ready, prep for the hike, and then it's a 7-mile hike round trip. And along the way, we're photographing 2 adventurous hiking elopements. And it's just like such a unique experience that throughout this entire planning process, my goal is like, would I be happy with this? Even down to like the gifts that I'm giving the girls, like, would I want to receive this? Would I be happy with this education? Because I need to remove myself from this and make sure that it's serving them. But I also want to go above and beyond that. They're like, that was a no-brainer. Like, I need to attend the next one.
Well, and you're bringing so much of your own personal experience of things that you would want.
Right.
And I think that like as a creative, like we should be creating things that we would want for ourselves, and being able to give that to someone and give that experience, give that simple photo to hang up on a wall. Like that is just so powerful. And yeah, I mean, I really resonate with the doing it because it's something that you would want to be doing.
Right.
But also bringing in the attendees into the whole process of like,
Yeah.
hey, like
Like the planning
what do you
side
want
of
to be
it.
hearing about it? Like
Right.
what should we be doing? Like it's been really cool to follow you on Instagram throughout like most of this process and seeing the way you've marketed it and the way you've brought people in. And I want to know, how the heck did you sell these tickets out in
Yeah.
24 hours, in less than 24 hours?
Yeah.
That is a huge feat. What was it, 10 tickets?
10 tickets, yeah.
Like,
So we
what?
sold 9 tickets, 90% of them in under 4 hours.
What?
And then I had multiple proposals out for the final ticket, and finally someone snatched it. It was like right at the 24-hour mark. But
I was like,
yeah, it was insane.
I was like, oh.
You're like, hi, can I come please?
I know.
Like, let's hang out. There was so much work that went into that. And I will say a huge part of that was Steph. She helped me. So a lot of what I'm sharing, she taught me along the way, and just so many valuable tips and resources. But Steph came alongside me and helped me create a launch schedule, essentially. So there's the pre-launch phase, the pre-launch, and then hard launch. And I think a mistake that a lot of times I see when someone is wanting to launch either a product, a service, an experience, something like a workshop, is maybe they come on Instagram a week before tickets launch and say, hey, I've been working on this behind the scenes. Tickets launch next week. Here's the price point. People aren't sold on it yet. Someone needs to hear of something at least 7 times for it to click. So as we started progressing through these different launch phases, I had a call with Steph and I'm like, I feel like I'm being annoying, like, to my audience, because this is all I'm talking about. And she's like, you need to remember, you are seeing all of your content. Your audience is not seeing all of your content every time you post on your story or a reel or a post. And if they are, who cares? Like, this is your workshop. It's a business, right? She's like, you want to sell out. You need to get the word out there. So that's just such a good reminder for anyone that is wanting to like launch a product too, of don't wait, don't keep it a secret. And I think there's a lot that goes into that too, is like, you can say don't keep something a secret, but something that I see on Instagram all the time is someone is like, I'm working on something. Say what it is. Get the word out there, because you're not going to sell something by just kind of keeping it close, like the cards close to your chest. So in the pre-launch, that was like their proof of concept. That is saying, okay, I'm really excited about this, but are 10 other photographers also just as equally excited, that would be willing to pay that fee to come along and like join us? Do they see enough in that value? And that's the planning phase of it. But so much of that was like asking questions on Instagram. I already had the Airbnb booked at that point, but I still asked my audience and said, hey, like, what do you think of this Airbnb? Do we love it? Do we hate it? Could have canceled within 48 hours, but they loved it. But like looping them in the planning process of it, and like, but also not oversharing at that point, but just kind of like sprinkling it in. I loved that keyword of like sprinkle here and there, but not saying like, I'm working on a little something. No, like I'm working.
Because that's kind of like gatekeeper.
Yeah, and no one likes that.
Right.
I think that could have worked 5 years ago on Instagram, and I think it did work.
Yeah.
But things change on Instagram. But people want to be clued in on what's happening. So the pre-launch, kind of sprinkling in what you're working on here and there. Pre-launch is showing up more. That's when I started having some emails going out of, hey, what is happening?
To your existing email list.
Yeah, to my email list. And I was even sharing about that on Instagram of like, hey, if you want to know what's going on with this workshop, join the email list.
If you want to be like one of the first to know.
Yeah, and I think I even got like 450 new people on my email list just in the last like month and a half. Yeah. Even I would even say more than that. I'm lowballing. I think it was closer to like 600 or 700. And that was just kind of word of mouth. That was just talking about it actively and having some reels do really well, and just trying to build that email list without saying like, come to the workshop. It's communicating the value that you're going to be providing. So every time I would book a speaker, I would share about it. I wouldn't show up on my stories every day talking about the workshop yet. But once we transition into the hard launch, which is usually about like 7 to 10 days prior to when you're wanting to launch your tickets or sell your item, that is all you're talking about. I showed up on my story every day. I didn't post on my account per se every day, like a feed post or a reel, maybe every other day, but showing the value, talking about the workshop, talking about what I'm currently working on, reminding people that tickets are going to be launching on, it was February 7th. I had that countdown timer where people could tap on the countdown timer and set alarms. And before I knew it, I was starting to get DMs from girls that they're like, I have 20 alarms set. Like, I will be the first person to purchase a ticket. And then I started getting nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, like, and you don't want to think, are people just big talkers? But I'm like, are people actually?
Sometimes that
can happen.
Yeah,
And I definitely experienced a part of that too. But like, that's all part of it too. But the people that were like, I am going to buy a ticket. I'm going to be there. I will be the first one in your inbox on February 7th at 2:00. I'm like, okay. Like, I hope you will be. Like, I'm really excited but nervous.
Please stick to your word.
Like, fingers crossed.
I'm like actually counting on it.
I know. And it was like the morning of, I was starting to have like severe heart palpitations. I'm like, it's happening. And at that point, launch day, the planning is done. The word of mouth is done. You're no longer trying to build your email list. At that point, it's like me as the photographer, as the educator, I've done everything I can do at that point to market it. Now it's kind of passing the baton, right, to the photographers and saying like, now it's your turn to kind of show up. And within, it was maybe 6-7 minutes, we sold over half of the tickets. We had inquiries in, proposals out, contracts signed, and deposits in. So it was over 50%. I think it was 6 tickets sold, 60%. And then, within 4 hours, we were up to 90%. And like, that was every proposal that came in booked, like immediately, until it was nighttime and I had a few proposals come in. And then finally, Abby snuck in and took the final ticket. So it feels like,
because that sounds better. Selling
within
all the
24
tickets
hours.
within 24 hours, within 25 hours. No.
So it's just such a huge relief because I have poured my heart and soul into this workshop, and all I want is for every girl that comes just to feel so encouraged and loved and supported, and for them to walk away with the most incredible content that they've been dreaming about. But honestly, I'm on such a high about it. Like I told Steph, I was like, I want to do 2 next year. Like, let's do 3. Let's do more. But it's just because I love it so much. And the process has just been incredible.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. So we've been talking about how amazing this is.
Yes.
But I know not every single part of a launch is, gonna excite you or
be like picture perfect.
Exactly. It can be super hard launching things, and like being someone that has launched things in the past, whether that's a merch, drop or a new business or memberships to things, like it can be really scary and frightening, and there's a lot of challenges along the way. So what are some of the biggest challenges or maybe mindset shifts that you had to undertake throughout this whole launch process for this workshop in particular?
Yeah, that is such a good question. I will say there's just so much time and energy and effort that does go into a launch. And I think a lot of that isn't really brought to the forefront of conversations a lot of the time. And that can be unseen or like go behind the scenes. But I was so tired. After we sold that final ticket, I think I took like 4 days off of Instagram and just like chilled in my pajamas and didn't talk to a soul. Like I was so tired. My cup was so full. I was so excited and so eager, but I was drained. And I think that's just a side that I've talked to photographers and they're like, I'm going to put on a workshop, and they don't expect the energy and the time or like know how much time and energy that really goes into it. There's also startup costs. And a lot of that is you need to pour money into it well before you ever sell a ticket.
Absolutely.
I had my Airbnb booked. I had contracts. I had numerous thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars out of my own pocket. So then there's also those nerves on the line of what if one person signs up, like I still have invoices I need to pay.
There's a very real cost here.
There is. Yeah. Or if you had to cancel for some reason, like you're still out of that Airbnb money. Like there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes stressor wise that isn't necessarily communicated. But at the same time, it's so worth it. And I feel like that's such a cheesy thing to say, but you are exhausted, you're hustling, you are working so hard, but to see that first ticket sold and to be able to attach a name to that ticket, I had tears running down my face. Granted, I was so sleep deprived, but I was so excited to be able to be like, so it was Jasmine. I know it was Jasmine bought her first ticket and I crying, and I sent Steph a voice memo and I was like, it's happening. But there's just so much hype and excitement and build up around it, and to see a name attached to a ticket. Like it's no longer just like, oh, if girls come, it's like we sold out. We have 10 girls coming. Like that's incredible. So.
Yeah. And what a blessing to be able to have that whole stress over in a day. I mean, as far as the actual hard launch
truthfully
goes,
though. And now it's so cool because the marketing side of it is done, and now I just get to pour into them. Exactly. Right. And so I think I did tell Steph, I was like, I'm done with the marketing side. You could have kept it up, but it's draining, it's exhausting, so fun and so fulfilling, but just as equally exhausting. And so that's where I think that can be a really big challenge, is sometimes that's just not communicated. And if photographers want to get into hosting workshops, go in with the expectation of it's not just easy money. I've heard that before too, of like, oh, you're hosting a workshop. No, you pour so much money, like $20,000 to $25,000 into a workshop, easy. After you add up your Airbnb, your models, the food, your speakers, flying people in, whatever you are including,
because it's important
in
to pay
price.
people.
Correct, and you need to.
Right.
You need to. And so, and that was a mistake that I made in my first one. Is I did a lot of collaborations, and not saying that's bad per se. You can, but you have a lot more commitment when you're paying someone, especially something like models. Models, what's tying them to help you if you're, or to even model and show up for your event if you're like, oh, do you just want a gallery? That's okay if that's what your budget is to start, just to kind of gain that experience. But as you continue, I highly recommend paying your vendors. And there are still a handful of vendors that I'm collaborating with that are good with the collaboration, but I'm providing a full gallery for them, and kind of even doing a little bit of a gift for them after that. They don't know about yet either, but
surprise.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Oh, I love it. Client gifts is something I'm like wanting to do more of in my business.
Oh my gosh, so fun.
I don't know what order I'm going to be releasing these episodes, but one of the episodes that I'm recording is going to be with Annette from Season Journals.
Oh, so cool.
Are you familiar with her products?
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're going to be diving into the world of creating a physical product.
So
and
cool.
Also for photographers, client gifts. So it's going to be kind of like a 2-part episode.
I will be listening to that.
It's going to be amazing.
Let me know when it's out.
We're recording that 2 days after this recording.
So fun.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
So let's jump back into some like kind of rapid fire, like tips, tricks, mindset shifts, things that just people can just gobble up right now to get them motivated and excited if they are thinking about planning a workshop. What are some things, both positive and maybe challenging, that they need to keep in mind that is going to help propel them into launching a successful workshop, or just keeping it more in general, just launching any sort of product or offer? That
is a very loaded question. I love it. I will say a lot of my one-on-one mentor sessions are focused on a lot of launching, because it's more than just like a 30-second snippet. There's so many details that go into that. But for mindset shift, the first thing that comes to mind is just get started. And that is something that a trap that I kept falling into, is I was like, okay, and I don't know if it was like anxiety or nerves or doubt, but I was like, okay, well, I know I really want this, but are 10 other photographers going to want it? And then I'd be like, I'll push it off till tomorrow. Once I actually took a step, the biggest step that I would encourage someone to take is make a big list of everything that you want to do on the front end. And that's the planning side of things, of like, where do you want your workshop to take place? Do you have a month in mind? Start narrowing down a month if you don't, and then book the Airbnb. Because once you book an Airbnb, you can't go back.
There's a date on the calendar.
There is a date in the calendar, and there's a commitment. And I wanted to pass out or pee my pants when I hit purchase for the Airbnb.
100%.
I was not excited, and I was so terrified. Because I'm like, that's like $3,500 down the drain if not a single person buys a ticket, right?
It's actually just a very nice vacation for you and your husband.
I know. Can you imagine? Hey, we have this huge house. Like, let's go.
It's just us.
Yeah, just us. But
like messaging all family members. Hey, everyone.
Do you want a little trip up the North Shore? Right. But that is putting the pen to the paper. It is putting money where your mouth is and saying, like, I have this idea. We are going to get started. So I would start by making a list, narrowing down a month that you want and like a location that you want to be in, and then starting to look at Airbnbs or hotels or whatever fits you and your vibe for that workshop. But once you hit book on the Airbnb, there's something in your heart where you're going to have a mini panic attack. That's normal. Just know that's normal. And as you continue throughout the planning stages, you're going to experience every emotion under the sun. You will have tears. The amount of times I've cried because something doesn't go, like air quotes, according to plan, right? Or my first pick, something didn't work out, but now I see how it's all come together and I'm like, oh, those people were supposed to be there. Like, it is all just coming to plan. Like, you will have tears. You will be so stressed out. You will have some nights where you are not sleeping much. You'll be dropping thousands of dollars, but you also will have photographers that are trusting you, and you are able to create this incredible event, and just pour into these photographers and educate them and serve them and love on them. And there's nothing like more incredible than that. So it's all worth it.
Oh my gosh. When is the next one? Because
Oh.
I know there's a wait list right now. So if anyone wants to hop on that, they can go and check it out.
Yes, there is a wait list for the 2024 North Shore Workshop. I will be launching one in 2025.
Ooh, you heard it here first.
No, I wish, but details
I tried.
I don't even know yet.
Right,
but, I'm very, very early planning stages of that.
That's
but
so
details
exciting.
will be coming this summer for next year.
Amazing.
Which is exciting.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
Yep. How can folks connect with you, get into your ecosystem, and be aware of when all of these amazing offers that you have come to life?
Yes, I would say Instagram is the best way to do that. So Morgan Elizabeth Photos on Instagram. All the links you need are there. So if you want to join the waitlist, if you want to hear about future workshops, you can sign up for the email list. We have a Facebook community for photographers. Everything is on Instagram. So come hang out with us. Shoot me a DM and let's chat.
Thank you so much for giving so much value today. Like I didn't even know that we were going to talk that much about launches. But now
I could have kept going.
That was the whole kind of foundation of this episode. So just so powerful and so many key takeaways for anyone thinking about planning their own workshop, retreat, or just launching any sort of offer or product in general. So thank you so much for giving and being here. And I can't wait to have you back on and just collaborate on more things in the future.